I am James Swanwick, and today we are doing part 3 of a 3-part series with John Keltner, who is 2 years alcohol-free today.
Yep.
And yeah, congratulations, John, first of all.
Thank you.
And I interviewed you when you hit 90 days, which would have been in March of 2019. And then I interviewed you again a year ago today, which would have been December 20th, 2019.
Yep.
And now, as we're recording this, it's December 20th, 2020.
Yes.
So if you're listening to the podcast, then I would invite you maybe to go back and just listen into the interview at day 90 and then at 1 year, and then listen to this one at 2 years. But John, just to get started, tell us a little bit about you, your story, what you do, where you're from, just to reintroduce you to our listeners if they haven't heard episode 1 or 2, or even if they have.
Sure. So I was born and raised down in the Bay Area in Northern California, and came up to the Sacramento area to go to school, and have been up in this area ever since. Professionally, I have always been in a number of forms, but have always been in sales and mostly technology solutions. And I have 3 children and now 3 grandchildren. And back in December of 2018, after many thoughts with myself and considerations and sleepless nights and so on, I reached out to you, James, and on December the 20th, 2018, I started Project 90.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with that, Project 90 is our program which helps folks like John get ultimate power over their drinking. What was your drinking habits when you did reach out to me?
So I had been a regular drinker for many years. I kind of do my estimates around, for about 35 years. I was a daily or almost daily drinker, and just felt that I had fallen into bad habit, bad rhythm. As far as drinking goes, and it included mainly just after work, going to the bar and spending time there before I came home, and then drinking on the weekends and so on, and it had just really gotten to be a little bit too much. And at that point, I was very, very tired, exhausted. I was not healthy. I didn't sleep well. And it had caused a number of issues in my life, in terms of my relationships and so on. And at the time, my son was then 14 years old, and I really felt a need to get control of my drinking, not only for myself, but as an example for him. So that was kind of my lead up to it.
And just to be clear, you were not and do not consider yourself to be an alcoholic by any stretch of the imagination, correct?
No, I don't think so. I've never had any real physical addictions to it necessarily. And I think that it proved to be, through this process, it proved to be just a sort of a lifestyle and a habit that I had developed, as opposed to alcoholism in a medical sense, I suppose.
Yeah, it's funny because most of the people who approach me asking for support or help, I listen to their stories, and many of the people have convinced themselves that they're an alcoholic. And in my view, almost all of them are not. It's just a term that gets thrown around quite loosely, in my opinion. It's just that people have not so much the physical addiction to the alcohol, but a mental addiction. It just becomes this habit that gets ingrained in our psyche. And society is all smiling at us as they, offer us their, alcohol. It could be a host of a party wanting to ensure you're having a nice time and trying to be polite. They're saying, hey, would you like some wine? Oh, let's have a drink. And they're smiling. And so over many years of your adult life, it gets ingrained into you that drinking is just something normal. It's just something that people do. And so when people say, oh, I think I'm an alcoholic, I think, well, let's just dig into that a little bit and entertain the idea that maybe you do not have a chemical dependency on alcohol, that rather you have a habitual dependency on alcohol. Does that ring true for you, John?
I think so. Yes. And what I have come to call it is cultural conditioning. And I just had a lot of cultural conditioning, obviously in our American culture, but also through family and friends and classmates and so on. And so it's very, once you've had an opportunity to kind of step back and see it through another lens, or through a clear lens as opposed to an alcohol-filled lens, you can really see the level of influence that alcohol has in our culture. And it now feels good to be having gotten away from that and be able to see it from the other side. So yeah, I think a lot of what people have is more of a psychological dependency or a cultural dependency or a habit that they just need to find out how to get some coaching and alternatives on how to change that.
I want to focus most of our conversation on what life has felt like from year 1 to year 2. And again, I invite the listener, if you want to go back and dig into what life was like first 3 months, first year, the previous episodes of me interviewing John Keltner are there and available. But just very briefly, before we move on, just describe what Project 90 was for you. What was your experience? What did you feel like you got out of it in those 90 days? And then we'll move on to, life in year 2.
Sure. So in those first 90 days, really, I think the keys for me were the coaching. So the tools and the resources that you provided and that Kevin helped with and things like that, the coaching really gave me an alternative to what I was experiencing before, and gave me ideas around how can I change my mindset around not only alcohol overall, but certain situations and certain relationships and things like that. And that was very helpful, along with the community of people that was very, very powerful and continues to be, because I'm still in contact with a lot of people that I was in Project 90 with at the same time, and even some that came after, and so on. And my accountability to that group. And during that 90 days, and I think I mentioned this before, but during that 90 days, I didn't really mention what I was doing to my family, to the people that were closest to me, until I had kind of a comfort level that this was all going to go well and so on. And once I did that, then they became part of my accountability group also. And even as of today, I have people reaching out to me and saying congratulations and great job and so on with getting to 2 years alcohol free, and that's been great. So that first 90 days was not nearly as difficult as I thought it would be once you make that choice and that commitment, and start moving forward with it. Again, the tools and resources that are provided are very helpful in getting you through that 90 days. And then it all kind of went from there.
I'm noticing that you're using the phrase alcohol free instead of sober. You haven't used the word sober. You've been using alcohol free. Why is that?
Because alcohol free is, to me, it denotes a choice. I have made a choice to be alcohol free, the same way a person might make a choice to be gluten free, or be vegetarian, I guess, meat free, however you would say that. But to me, that is a positive choice that I've made and have committed to, as opposed to being sober, which seems to me has sort of a dark side or a negative side to it, and means that I'm sacrificing something, or maybe I'm giving up something. And I certainly don't feel that way. So I always like to call it alcohol free, as opposed to being sober. I don't think about it that way.
Yeah. Just a side note as well, you have a nickname given to you by initially some folks down at your local bar/pub, as I understand it. What is the nickname that they have given you, John?
Yes, so I am known now as the Soda Cran Man, because when I started with Project 90, one of the things that I really liked about your approach, James, was I said, I have a lot of friends down there at my local bar, and people that I enjoy spending time with, and spend time with outside of the bar, and I don't want to have to give that up. And you said, no, you don't have to give that up. Let's just give you ways to be in those situations and be alcohol free and still enjoy yourself and so on. So I right away continued, certainly not with the frequency that I had before, but I would still stop in and see my friends at the local pub and enjoy time with them. And I would just always drink soda with a splash of cranberry and a lime. And one of my friends said, "Okay, Soda Cran Man, here you go." And that's kind of how it got started and has stuck with me.
So tell us a little bit about what it's been like between year 1 and year 2 of being alcohol free. And just to, I hope, summarize what you had shared on our 1-year interview a year ago. You had said that you'd lost about 25 pounds, as I understood it. You looked noticeably slimmer. You talked about having an improved relationship with, I assume must have been then your 15-year-old son. He must almost be 16, if not 16 now.
Yep.
And you just felt more energetic and were sleeping better, and you were clearer. I think I summarized that pretty well from memory.
Yeah.
So what happened between that point when we last spoke formally like that and this point a year later?
Sure. So one of my kind of the themes going into even into 2019, I kind of like themes and slogans and things like that. So my thing was to have more clarity, prosperity, and love. So in 2019, I really leaned into that, and through the program and through your wellness weekend there in 2019 down in Venice Beach, California, I started to really get back to the things that I love. So I have always been a youth sports coach, and had always had dreams of coaching at higher levels and so on. And so I started to pursue that. I had put together some programs around healthy mindset for young athletes and so on in 2019, started to deliver that. And in 2020, I decided just to continue with that theme. So more clarity, prosperity, and love. So from a clarity standpoint, it just continues to get deeper and deeper. Even if I just reflect on last night, I slept very well and I had very vivid dreams, which was something that has continued to get better and better since going alcohol free. And so my clarity continues to increase. And then from a prosperity standpoint, And this wasn't really one of my most important goals, but, I was not performing well at work. I didn't feel before. And over these last 2 years, I have continued to improve at my professional job. And my income is reflecting that. And then, and also the my coaching has actually turned into, I now work, one of my projects, I work specifically with a high school basketball team here in my area, and that's been just great. Now, with that said, obviously this year has been different because of COVID. And I even have it in my notes as I was thinking back on this, is I am so glad that I was alcohol free during this time, because this could have just been a absolute mess if I wasn't in the state of mind that I'm in now, and hadn't had that clarity going into 2020, because this has been quite a year. And then lastly is love, and my relationships with my children and my grandchildren and my siblings, and the people that I love that are close to me has continued to increase and become better and better all the time. And I will say that in 2020, I have met a wonderful woman that we are putting together a very loving relationship. So that part of my goals has come true also. That's the biggest thing in 2020.
Well, I don't know. Most people are saying they want 2020 to end, but maybe you want to make it go a little longer, John.
Well, all of this is going to continue no matter what the date says.
Yeah, great. I love that attitude. A couple clarifying questions on what you shared. And first of all, congratulations on generating and creating all of that.
Yep.
In relation to the romantic relationship with the wonderful woman that you are now with, how was the conversation around your relationship to alcohol when you first met her? What was her response? And does she drink or not drink at all? Or how do you navigate that?
Sure. So we had met initially in early 2019, and I had started Project 90 at that point, and I told her about that. Now that's not when we reconnected and started to see each other more seriously. That wasn't until about February of this year. So we had already had a kind of an initial conversation. And then when we reconnected a year later, I was obviously still alcohol free, and she really liked that about me. And she's in the health and wellness industry also. And she drinks occasionally, but certainly not a habitual drinker. And she coaches people on health and nutrition and so on. So she understands it, and she really enjoys the fact that I don't drink, and that is never an issue, because she, like many people, and including myself, had issues with relationships before that were around drinking. I mean, in terms of when you look back at fights and things like that, a lot of times they are unfortunately alcohol induced. And she really appreciates the fact that I don't drink, and we just don't have the issues around that.
Wonderful.
Just a quick message from our show sponsor, Project 90, the program that helps you enjoy life more by getting ultimate power over alcohol. Project 90 helps high achievers regain their confidence, be more present with friends and family, get clear, reduce stress and anxiety, sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel a whole lot better. Project 90 does this by helping members quit alcohol for at least 90 days, whilst providing 6 months of accountability and support. The program has an 87% success rate of members reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free on their first attempt. Members get a one-on-one accountability coach, a community of like-minded people to interact with, 100% confidentiality, and what's more, members tell us it's fun. Project 90 members are mostly over the age of 35, entrepreneurs, executives, top professionals, or retirees. If you're in your late 30s or 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or older, and you consider yourself a high achiever, and you're ready to upgrade your life by quitting alcohol for at least 90 days and maybe more, then you can have a free 20-minute exploratory call with one of Project 90's former clients, now coaches. If you'd like to book that call, you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule. Or if you're on your phone in the US right now, you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222, and we'll email you the schedule link. That's texting the word Project 90 to the number 44222. Okay, let's get back to the show.
When you are dining together or eating or whatever, and she has a drink and you don't, how does it feel for you? And how does she tell you it feels for her?
So, interesting. It's kind of so infrequent that I don't have a great answer for that. Maybe she'll have a glass of wine occasionally with a meal, but very, very infrequently. She never goes overboard. There's never a situation like that. And generally she will kind of question herself as to, I wonder why I did that. And I don't feel or act judgmental at all, because she's never demonstrated to me any issue with it, or we've never had a problem with it. So we don't have an ongoing conversation necessarily about that.
Yeah. And when she has a drink and you're there, do you ever feel tempted to enjoy? I use the word enjoy in like parentheses. Do you ever feel tempted to share a drink with her, maybe, or is it just something different?
No, I don't. I just do my thing. I order my soda cran or whatever my alternative is, water at times. Just with the same level of enthusiasm as somebody would order a drink, and the waitress or the bartender or whoever, I just order it with as much authority as I would if I was going to have a drink and enjoy myself that way. And then I do enjoy myself. So no, I don't ever feel tempted or anything like that. No.
And has that way of being, do you demonstrate that way of being at other functions, like maybe a family get together or a work function? I appreciate 2020 has been a peculiar year where maybe we haven't been socializing as much with other people, but certainly a lot of the resistance or the fears that people have when they first come into Project 90 is, how are they going to socialize with people? Like, how are they going to navigate people asking them questions about them not drinking? Because a lot of people naturally fear that they're going to be judged. Right. Or that they'll have to explain themselves as to why they're not drinking, or that they'll feel pressured to drink because everyone else is, or they'll feel rude to decline a host's invitation to drink, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a number of reasons.
Sure.
So does your way of being change depending on the social situation, or is what you just described your partner right now, is that pretty much it for all social situations now?
Yeah, I would say pretty much it for all social situations. I think what people will find too is that once you've navigated that situation one time, like with work people, which I've done now for the last couple of years, then they just stop asking or stop inquiring why that is or any of those type of things. You get past that pretty quickly. And I know that, like you've said, is and here's what I have found also is that people don't really care whether you drink or not. You just have to demonstrate that for one time, and then they're like, okay, great. And then what I have found is that a lot of people will actually ask you, maybe later they'll say, hey, are you still not drinking? And you'll say, no, I'm not. No, still alcohol free. And they'll say, oh man, that's great. Cause they're starting to keep track for you too. They're starting to root you on and cheer you on. So, no, I think if you just, get in the habit of ordering your drink the way that you want it, just as anybody would order a drink, people get over that pretty quickly and move on. And, it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it.
Just a couple of interesting things. I'm writing my book at the moment, or what's more accurate is to say I'm polishing my book proposal at the moment. I've secured a literary agent, and we're looking to secure a book deal sometime in 2021. It's all about quitting drinking and the effects of drinking. And one of the interesting studies that came up as I was researching for the proposal was that in New York State, 25% of all relationships that ended, the folks that they surveyed said that alcohol was was like the main factor for them splitting up. And 50% of people admitted that alcohol played a factor in any arguments that they had, which is pretty fascinating. So the fact that I guess on the flip side of that, you and your current partner, you seem to be having a very harmonious relationship, at least from what you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
That just ceases to be an issue, right? Because alcohol is not an issue. Therefore, there are no arguments, or very few, and therefore you're still together. In New York,
Right.
New York City, 50% of folks are breaking up, or 25% are breaking up because of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the kind of flip side there. Yeah.
Right. And for us, the alcohol not being involved, we're both very present and very open, and can have conversations around anything that we want to talk about, whether it's an issue or not, and those type of things, without it being spiced up by alcohol and being intoxicated and so on. And it has been just wonderful. I mean, I know that I'm a better person in this relationship than I have been in past relationships. And honestly, she's just a wonderful person. So she's probably the same.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just a little side note as well. I noticed that you mentioned before that your income was reflective of you being alcohol free. So I'm assuming what you meant there is that your income has increased since you went alcohol free, John. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Great.
Really, without it being a major focus. In other words, that wasn't one of my main reasons for going alcohol free. Although it is one of the benefits that you had outlined for me at the time that could be potential there. And I that first year I didn't really track it, but I probably was up 25% in terms of my income. And then this year, even with COVID, I'm still up another 20% over last year.
Wow.
And that's just really, I would attribute it to being, again, more present, more focused, and more intuitive. In sales, it's important that you really have your wits about you, and even in your off hours that you're thinking about clients and their needs and what you can do for them and so on. And this, being alcohol free gives you more time and more clarity to do that. And things tend to come together a little bit easier and a little better. And there's more flow. And that has proven to be the case. And yes, my income continues to increase.
Yeah, during my research for the book, I came across a University of Oxford study which took tests to measure memory, reasoning, and verbal skills. And what they found was that even moderate consumption of alcohol often leads to disorganized thoughts and confusion, making it hard to focus on something like work. The study also found that the amount of shrinkage in the hippocampus, which is the brain area associated with memory and reasoning, was related to the amount that people drank. So a person's ability to carry out their work to the standard expected by their employer, for example, or that they expect of themselves, maybe they're an entrepreneur or business owner or in sales like yourself, a person's ability to carry out their work to that high standard can be severely compromised by even a modest amount of alcohol. Even if the person is not actually intoxicated by alcohol, at work or the night before. Then, of course, you've got workers who, have headaches or hangovers the following day. Maybe they take sick days, and this can all reduce someone's ability to work effectively. They've also done studies, John, that show that the toxins from alcohol stay in your body. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Most of the toxins from a single glass of alcohol system for between 7 and 10 days. And some of the toxins, they've even found evidence of still being in the body 90 days after you have just one glass of alcohol. They've taken a strand of someone's hair, put it under a microscope, and they can still detect toxins from a single drink 90 days earlier, which is just astounding. So when you then share that you have increased your income, it sounds by on average 22.5% year over year the past 2 years, that seems to be reflective of the fact that, if you are alcohol free and you're not feeding yourself those toxins, you just work better. You're more productive. You're more efficient. You have greater clarity. So yeah, you seem to provide great anecdotal evidence, I guess, of that.
Right. Well, and I would just add that I really a lot of it had to do, especially initially, was how much time I got back from eliminating alcohol from my life and my habits and so on. Because what I didn't realize before was just how much time I was spending, planning to drink, just as far as my thoughts and my focus and things like that, it'd get to be 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and my mind would go to, oh man, can't wait until 5 o'clock or can't wait until I'm headed home or whatever. And then, so that, things would start then, and then I would obviously go and drink. And then there were just a lot of mornings when I was not at my at high energy level, and I would waste a lot of time then too. And I regained all that time back, and have been able to translate it into into better work and doing the things that I love in terms of spending quality time with my children and my grandchildren, and recreational things that I love, like golfing and fishing and so on.
Tell me what your family and friends have told you that they've noticed in you since you've been alcohol free, maybe in the last year in particular, because this is not something new now, right? Because most of your friends and family, I would suggest, know that you've been alcohol free for a while. But what have they verbally shared with you about any shifts or perceptions they have of you in this second year being alcohol free?
Well, from a physical standpoint, I continue to get compliments on just that it looks good on you. Whatever it is you're doing, you look better. I mean, obviously I've lost weight, lost a lot of puffiness in my face. My skin is clearer and and so on. So from a physical standpoint, I get a lot of that feedback, continue to. And from a mental standpoint, I just get a lot of feedback that my energy is better. I mean, around other people, my energy is better, and I know that I'm more present and able to contribute in a more positive way or a more meaningful way with the people that I'm around. So whether it's my family or the kids that I'm coaching or the people that I work with, they have given me feedback that they appreciate my energy and what it is that I'm bringing to the table, and so that's kind of what I continue to get in terms of this transformation that has occurred for me.
And now, of course, it's not just the transformation that's occurred in you, but now it's the transformation that you're helping to occur in others.
Mm-hmm.
So just to provide context, for John is now part of our enrollment team for Project 90. So my business is Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. One of the programs is Project 90, which helps folks get ultimate power over alcohol. And when we have people all over the world entertaining the idea of joining us in that particular program, they speak to one of our 3 current enrollment specialists. And John Keltner, who I'm speaking with now, is one of those gentlemen, along with a lovely woman named Roseanne, who's been featured on the podcast here previously, and also Russell. And so, ordinarily we might have half a dozen or so folks we have phone conversations with each day, and John is fielding many of those calls. So I'm curious, John. Well, first of all, just to provide further context, you have helped people around the world enroll in the idea of living an alcohol-free lifestyle. One of those women was Jenny Unglis, and I'm sure she doesn't mind me mentioning her name because she's been featured on the podcast and gave her name and actually mentioned you about how she spoke with you on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, a few questions around that, John. What did it feel like to enroll someone like Jenny or someone else and then track their progress as they have now gone to be at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free? In Jenny's case, I think she's coming up 6 months now. Mm-hmm. How has that felt for you to now not just having been coached, but now to kind of be the coach and to help create transformation in others? Right.
Well, it feels fantastic because it's hard to describe just the level of fulfillment or gratitude, I guess, that I had coming through the program and getting this new start on things and so on, and then to be able to turn around and express that to others and help them to go from where they are now to where they would like to be and get them started on that journey. It's very fulfilling. It's been wonderful. And Jenny, along with the other folks that I've enrolled, it's great to see them continuing on their journey and to see all the benefits and all the positive results that come from it. So it's been great.
Is there something that you notice? Like, is there a pattern of fear that people share with you on those calls, John? Is there a pattern of situation or circumstance that people mention to you? Like, what are some of the more common things that folks say to you when they're first coming to us? Because like when they're first talking to you, they realize that their drinking is holding them back in some way or form. Mm-hmm. They're wanting to get power over it. What are the common stories or perceptions that you have?
Sure. So I would say that for the most part, one of the most common things is that they're tired. They have been on this roller coaster for a long period of time, and they feel alone. And when they reach out, they realize that there is actually resources available and people that that can help them. And then they most of their resistance tends to be around fear, the fear of change, maybe the fear of failure, because they think I've tried and I can't do it, and this might not work, and so on. And what we have found that the most successful people are they're decisive. You know, they make a choice. They get involved. They are coachable, so that they can make a change, and they're resourceful. So whether it's time or money or energy, whatever they need to do, they will do it. And the amazing thing with this program is that first of all, the success rate, which you know, you can quote the exact numbers, but super high success rate. And that once people are in, they just see the transformative qualities of this program, and start to see all the things like I have seen, which is you get time back, you get relationships back, you get back the things that you love and are able to do. So really it comes down to, you know, decisiveness, coachability, and resourcefulness as you get into the program.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you'd like to possibly speak with John directly, you do have an opportunity to do that. You can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule. You'll be invited to book a time there, and you'll either end up booking a complimentary coaching call with either John or Russell or Roseanne. Or it might be someone else by the time you listen to this as well. But for the time being, if you'd like to give yourself a 33% chance of speaking to John directly, because as you book in the calendar, it kind of randomly picks whether it's John or Russell or Roseanne, depending on their schedules as well. But if you'd like to speak to either of those folks, jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or if you're in the US on a mobile phone, you can text me at the number 44222 and just send me the word Project 90. That's just one word, project, and then 90. So, John.
And if any of those folks would like to speak with me directly, in addition to Roseanne or Russell, you can certainly let them know, and I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, wonderful. You said you got a few messages over the last couple of days of people congratulating you on 2 years. What were some of the things people said? Were they text messages or emails or phone calls? What were they?
Well, so I do have a group on Facebook that I kind of put in place for myself from an accountability standpoint, that includes some of my relatives and friends and people that said they would love to kind of follow my journey. So I post there when I'm, you know, each month kind of on the 20th, and, you know, this was month number 24. So it was, the messages back were congratulations, great job. You know, keep up the good work, those type of things. So it was really nice, and yeah, pretty simple stuff, but it's fun to keep people involved, and keeps me accountable, and I enjoy that, and they're all very encouraging. So I appreciate it.
So what's the plan now, John? Just so we wrap this up, you're 2 years alcohol free. And of course, that's not really the main focus here, is it? It's just 2 years of you living the life that you want to live, I would suggest. It's not so much that you're alcohol free, you do drink, you don't drink. It's really being alcohol free just gives you the ability to be able to do what you want in a way in which you want. So, you know, what are your plans for the next 12 months, and what is your intention around alcohol as well?
Sure. So Well, first of all, what I really like about, and I have to give you credit for this, James, as I've mentioned before on these calls, is that having made this decision on December the 20th, 2 years ago, it was a great time. And I would add that to your question earlier about what is a common theme on these calls, and a lot of people attempt to delay a decision. And my advice to them would be, if not when, then, or if not now, then when, and if not this, then what? Because when we talked, I attempted to delay, and you encouraged me to get started then, which was December the 20th. And I did. And I'm really thankful for that, because it got me through those first holidays successfully. And then I was off and running for the new year. So as we sit here today and I look into 2021, and I have the next 10 days to kind of determine, okay, what are my goals for 2021? And I'm going to stay with the same theme that I've had throughout, which is more clarity, prosperity, and love, and continue to build on the things that have come into my life over these last 2 years. And what's nice about it is that all I see in front of me is continued success or joy or peace of mind and so on, just in continuing what it is that I'm doing now. And a part of that, I wouldn't say a big part, because I think that I've now changed this lifestyle and I'm just going to continue with it. But a part of that is to remain alcohol free and keep building on these successes that I've had since going alcohol free 2 years ago. And it's been great. And I think that will continue. So 2021, no matter what the outside world has in store for us, is going to continue to be good for me, just as 2020 has been.
All right. Well, let's make a date. Same day, 2021. Want to have a 3-year alcohol-free interview?
Absolutely. Three's my favorite number, so I'll be there.
Before I let you go, let's get you to say into the camera, I'm John Keltner, I'm 2 years alcohol-free, because we got you to do that on 90 days and 1 year, and you very kindly allowed me to sort of clip that video, if you like, and in some of our public-facing marketing. You want to look down the barrel and say, I'm John Keltner, and I'm 2 years alcohol-free today?
Yep.
Off you go.
I am John Keltner, and I am 2 years alcohol-free.
Fantastic. Well done, John.
Excellent.
John Keltner, thank you
James.
so much for sharing your time. It's been wonderful to catch up with you again. Congratulations. I remember exactly where I was when you were enrolled.
As do I. Yes.
This is a fun little annual catch-up so far, isn't it? We'll wonder how long we'll keep doing these.
Let's keep doing it. I'm all for it.
John Keltner, thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, James.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Free Lifestyle Podcast. I want to load you up with some free stuff right now. So if you want to go to jamesswanwick.com/guide, I will send you my Quit Alcohol Guide, which has helped six-figure entrepreneurs and top professionals reduce or quit drinking. You can also text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222 if you're in the US, of course. It doesn't really work anywhere outside of the US. But if you're in the US on your mobile phone and you'd like that guide, text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222, or you can go to jamesswanwick.com/guide. If you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of my top coaches, just an exploratory call to see if or how we can help you, then you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222 if you're listening in the US on a mobile phone. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90, that's one word, Project 90, to the number 44222. Feel free to send me a direct message over on my Instagram account, which is @JamesSwanwick. You can also watch video episodes of this podcast and a series of other educational videos on my YouTube channel, which is James Swanwick 1, or you can direct message me on Facebook at James Swanwick Official. And finally, a request. Would you please now write a short review of the podcast inside of the Apple Podcast app on your phone or on iTunes on your desktop computer? Would you please give the show 5 stars and write a quick 1 or 2 sentence review? This will help the show get in front of even more listeners, potentially transforming someone's life. You can rate and review the show inside of your Apple Podcast app on your phone or over on iTunes on your desktop. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.